Hey guys, welcome to Elephant in the Room. It's our podcast on Roll Tide Pods on YouTube. Make sure that you like and subscribe, that you're part of what we do. And we're just glad to be a member of Disrupt the Media. We hope that you guys enjoy what we do here every day. Well, really twice a week. So I shouldn't say every day, but every day we do a show. He's Jake Coker, and I'm Mick Gillispie. What's up, dude? Roll Tide.
Man, this Monday could be a lot worse.
Yeah, well, before we say anything else, I got to tell you this. I should have put some money down at mybookie.ag. Should have done it because the last 3 weeks, I'm back, baby, okay? Another big week, 4-0 for me. Remember, I was 5-0 3 weeks ago. The week before
you
that, I
ended
was
up taking
1-3.
Washington, didn't you?
Oh, all the way. Yeah. Never was worth. I thought
Oregon got trendy there for a little bit.
They did. People, we let the media overrate them. But what I want to tell you guys is don't make the mistake I made. Mybookie.ag. It's a great time to do it right now. Up to $1,000, 50% price match. That means you put your money down and then they match it. And if you would have had a week like I had, where you hit all the games, you'd be living large right now. How did you do?
I ended up actually switching over to Washington. Had some buddies talk me into it. Didn't like it, but it paid off.
Mm-hmm.
You've
got a think tank, I've noticed.
Yeah, like I've said before, I've got some degenerate associates and so Bama, Washington. I didn't mess around with Liberty or New Mexico State or any of those teams. Michigan, and then who was the loss?
Don't tell me you took Iowa. Yeah, no, you took Michigan.
No,
because I told you before that was the easiest money in the history of easy money.
Took Louisville.
Oh man, yeah, not me. So, but I could see why you were worried about it. Third string quarterback. And we're going to talk about that game in a second. Last thing on my bookie, not just college football. They do NFL, hockey with the NHL going now, college basketball. Bama's hooping it up right now, trying to figure out what's going on with that team. They cover it all at mybookie.ag. All right. It's like diving in to a pool. I mean, there's just so much to get into right now. And should we start with Florida State? And no, we can't, because it's kind of let's start with Alabama and Georgia. The SEC championship game, a game that you started at quarterback and won. Actually, I saw a highlight reel of all of these Nick Saban SEC, all the SEC championship game wins. And then all of a sudden, there you are. You pop on, going deep on somebody. Like, I know that guy.
Thank God for Calvin Ridley.
Let's go. Let's go, man. Yeah, I mean, did you see the reel? What is it like when you're like, what?
I missed it.
How about on the broadcast? Did they go back? Because I know they kept playing highlights of old games and stuff.
They will every now and then. The funniest one was that I was sitting there watching. Actually, this weekend I walked into Ace Hardware to get something for the Traeger, and it was the Crimson Tide Sports Network on, and then my voiceover came over as I'm standing in the store. I was like, "Oh shit, that's me!" It's so
that's
weird.
A good feeling, isn't it?
It's so weird.
Dude, I love that. I was on commercials that played at the Pilot gas stations in Tennessee.
Uh-huh.
One of my friends was like, "Yeah, I was at the pump, and all of a sudden, I was like." Oh shit, there's Mick. That's a great feeling. Nobody else, to be at the gas station, like nobody else knows that's at you, but it's a great
best
feeling.
Is when you're out in public with your wife or something, and especially now that I'm done playing, like that'll happen. And I look over at her, I'll be like,
give you one of these right here. Yeah.
Hey, you hear that, right?
Yeah, right. Yeah. Who's that? So going into this game, Bama was number 8, which I still feel like it was a conspiracy. They shouldn't have been number 8 last week.
They should have saved themselves a headache and moved Florida State back, out of playoff contention when they had a close call with North Alabama.
Yeah, right. They did this to themselves.
They knew what they were doing. I've said this for a few weeks. Kirk Herbstreit, he made the first comment, I want to say, after we played LSU, that you can't keep Alabama out if they beat Georgia in the SEC championship. He said that on game day.
I know. He's taking some heat
and
right
I remember
now.
Right then, I was like, that's the move. That's what they're going to do.
Yeah.
That was before the quarterback got hurt.
I know.
And so you knew when he got hurt, it was over.
Yeah.
And I graduated from Florida State. I love Florida State. I still pull for Florida State. But you cannot, if your job is to put the 4 best teams in, you cannot watch UNA, Florida, and Louisville games and say they could play with Georgia, or they could play with Alabama, or they could play with Ohio State, or they could play with Oregon. I mean, even the teams that are out of it, I think Oregon would be at least a 7-point favorite right now.
Yeah. When you were backing up Jameis Winston, if he'd have gotten hurt, could you have came in and ran the offense? What do you think? I mean, I'm being serious. Like, is that a possibility?
Yeah.
Because the game that I saw the UNA game.
But you got to remember, I was older than Jameis too by a year.
Right.
I'd been around that was my 3rd year. I mean, I was basically a junior, and I knew that offense really, really well.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I probably remember components of that offense better than I remember Alabama's.
Right. Did it fit your style better? Maybe you just had better players at Bama?
No, I just think it was an adjustment. I think, again, I probably won't get too deep into this, but I had Randy Sanders at Florida State. And, I think playing quarterback, your potential at quarterback has a lot to do with your relationship with your quarterback coach.
Yeah.
And especially my last year at Florida State, I had Randy Sanders, who, in my opinion, for me, I don't know if I could match up better with a quarterback's coach better than I did Randy Sanders.
Right.
He's my favorite coach I've ever had. And I just, respect him a lot, love him a lot. And, it was just a perfect match. And I never felt more comfortable playing quarterback than I did with him as my coach.
Wow.
And so, Lane, I thought he was great at creating plays and putting us in good positions. But the chemistry just was different with Lane than it was Randy and Jimbo.
Yeah. Some different characters right there.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
So I'm watching the UNA game, and I'm like, these guys are in trouble. Right. But then they came back, they figured it out. And I watched the Miami game. No, not Miami, Florida.
Yeah.
And I'm like, Florida's just not any good. Like, there's so many opportunities here.
Oh, yeah.
Then I'm watching the game against Louisville, and I'm like, you are making a case not to put you in.
Oh, yeah. Who's coming off a loss from Kentucky?
Right. The 8th or 9th best SEC
here's the thing.
team.
If Florida State's in the SEC, they got to play Georgia or Alabama in the conference championship, and they're out right there. When you beat Georgia, 29 straight wins, the most dominant team in college football, and your only loss is Texas, who's number 3 in the country. I mean, how do you say no to that? And that was prior to us even really knowing who the starter was.
Right. Yeah, and I think a lot of people have kind of made that case too, that maybe the excuse was the quarterback situation at Florida State, but there was nothing dominant. This was a year where the eye test mattered. Mm-hmm. Style points matter. If you're playing against a team that's inferior, like we saw with Texas, go out there and just beat the hell out of them. And then there's no argument, right? Yeah. Or if you're, Michigan, you're playing one of the worst teams I can ever remember being in a conference championship. So you just shut them out, Yeah. It was such a struggle. I thought they got all the calls from the officials, and nothing left me saying there was a chance that Florida State team could beat the other teams that were in the college football playoff. And we haven't even talked about Alabama yet. That's the first thing. The second thing is, and everybody asked me what was going to happen. And my thought process is and maybe I'm jaded by, my age and being around this for a long time. I just said it financially. When the SEC's championship game tickets are $450, $500 a piece.
Oh yeah.
The ACC's $50.
It was more than all
Big
the
12,
other conferences combined.
Right. Big 12s, whatever that, like I think the Pac-12 was like $30 or something.
Yeah.
And you could have got into the ACC for free.
Oh yeah.
You're trying to sell a product here. You can't afford to keep the SEC out. You can't afford to keep that brand out of this competition.
See, to me, that's a separate conversation, and I agree with it. But even if you're just, going by just the purest form of who is better and who deserves to be in the top four, taking all money and profits aside, you can't keep Alabama out of it. And honestly, I don't know if here's the problem is I think, Georgia should probably be in at number 4. We should be 3, Texas 2, and Washington being out. If you're truly picking the best teams, I say this with I love Florida State, but if you're looking at it as a third party, trying to look at it, with no bias, even Florida State fans, they got to sit there and be like, we're about to get routed by Georgia. Or you watch Michigan get put in the playoff at number 1 and they find out who the 4th seed is and it's Alabama, and you look at them, see the news, and they're all upset that Alabama got in.
Seemed like there was some concern. I think that they figured the first round was going to be the bye against Florida State.
They got the worst ticket.
Yeah. But I mean, that is true, but there is some concern. I got to tell you, I'm concerned about where this matchup and the next matchup. I'm concerned about all of them. But let's start with first off, this is one of the great wins of Nick Saban's career against Georgia. Your thoughts on the game? What did you think about the game in Atlanta?
Man, I thought that obviously we showed up and played very physical. I don't think we made all the plays that we necessarily should have made. This is the second week in a row that I feel like I've seen Jalen play. And again, when I say this, I say it based on what I think his potential is. He played good he played above average for SEC play. But for Jalen's standards, I felt like he played below his capabilities.
He looks like he's protecting something.
That's what I
see it.
Last week, and then this week, you don't see that explosive, just fearless.
Well, you've seen it now against LSU.
Well, that's the thing. You see a fearless runner, a fearless passer, a playmaker who uses his legs to get people up and down field, and I just felt like I didn't see that Saturday.
Yeah.
And he's he's more athletic than what he's showing too.
Oh yeah, right. But he's also showing you in this whole season that he's not a run first guy. And I think that's kind of what I'm most excited about in the Michigan game, is that I think the run game is going to be back for him again. The explosive run game, because whatever's hurt will probably be okay by then. Yeah.
And that's another, we were sitting there watching. I was like, more quarterback runs, more. And then we finally pulled off a few in, 4 minute when we're trying to hold the ball and run the clock out.
Beautiful.
You got a guy running like that and you get to utilize an extra blocker. It is deadly.
Yeah.
And I can't wait to see him do it. Hopefully he's got enough, if he is hurt, hopefully he's got enough time to recover. And Michigan has not seen anything like this, entire season.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. I had a guy.
One other thing too.
Yeah.
You see David Pollack talk about, Kirby's better. And look, I love Kirby to death. One of my favorite guys I've ever been associated with in college football. And I think he will go down as one of the best coaches of all time. But I still don't really understand when you truly look at this transition they're calling it, where Georgia's better than Alabama. They have won 2 in a row. The first one they won, we lose both our best wide receivers.
Mm-hmm.
I think anybody that's looking at it fairly says, I mean, Alabama blew you out in the SEC championship, and then, they're playing half-cocked. And then we don't make the playoff the next year.
They got away with it.
TCU gets in, and I mean, any team can win one game, that's got decent talent. I mean, and I remember, I think Michigan had 2 pick sixes that game. It was one of those odd games where TCU, got by, and then we found out who TCU was in the national championship. We should have been in, or TCU shouldn't have, so where this trophy has been handed off to Georgia instead of Alabama really doesn't make any sense to me. If you truly look at it. I mean, 2 national championships, huge accomplishment.
Yeah.
But to say you're past Bama, doesn't pass the eye test.
No. I kept saying it last year. The same media who is all about Alabama being left out for Florida State was the same media last year that was pushing the narrative that TCU belonged in over Alabama. Remember, we were right there, and they wouldn't move TCU, even though they lost their championship game, down and move Alabama up because of the outcry of the same media.
Yeah.
And I like these guys a lot, but it was idiocy. And then last year, what did we get? We got what was it, 69-3 or something?
Over the team that beat TCU.
Yeah, come on, man. That the TCU got beaten so bad by Georgia. Your whole, hey, the most deserving argument doesn't work. It's the 4 best teams.
Yeah.
We got the 4 best teams. Florida State's not one of the best teams. They play in a conference that has a lot of very bad football teams, plain and simple. You're playing in a conference that has maybe 2 or 3 real good teams, and then the rest of them are below average.
I mean, Florida State, again,
sorry to say that, but it's true.
And look, I loved everything about Florida State, and Florida State talent-wise is as good as anybody in the country. And if they had their quarterback, then I think they probably do edge us out in the playoff.
Mm-hmm.
But the schedule is definitely not the same. And it was something that was talked about among the coaching staff, and I was getting recruited to Florida State.
Right.
You can get the same recruits, but you don't have to play those guys, in the SEC. That was one of the things that was said. And it's a known fact. Florida State said it they said it in a board meeting this year. They're too good for the ACC.
Yeah.
At some point, Florida State's going to have to do what's best for them and move to a better conference, whether that's the Big Ten or the SEC.
That's the SEC.
Somehow.
They belong
in the SEC.
They need to get away from that. I mean, their strength of schedule was 55th. Bama's was 5th, and it would have been a lot better had they not scheduled Chattanooga. Which I don't mind those games as much, but when you're in a dogfight for a final spot, all of that stuff matters. Bama had the best win over Georgia. They had the best loss, a loss to Texas, second game of the season. They played the 5th best schedule. They got better as the season's gone on. They have the best coach that ever coached. The teams that they beat had a better record than the teams that Florida State beat, and Michigan too. I mean, Michigan, we should be talking about Michigan too. But for some reason, we want to pretend that the Big Ten is better than the ACC. They're not. They haven't won anything. When's the last time they won something?
I mean, when Michigan shows up to the playoff, they just get destroyed. And
I hope that continues.
I mean, you think of it. TCU last year, was it Georgia the year before that?
It was.
I mean, I don't remember Michigan ever having a valid seat in the playoff where, they actually did something that proved Michigan belongs. Do you? I don't.
No, but you know what? I mean, that can change at the Rose Bowl. They beat Alabama, and you know what? That justifies their program. And so,
but it's about time.
Yeah. I mean, but that's this game is it's a really important game for their program. I like Jim Harbaugh, but I do have a problem with the cheating. I also have a problem with your head coach being out for 6 of the 12 regular season games. I just think that it sets a bad precedent for, the kids that you're trying to educate as part of the program. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that I don't like him because I do.
Yeah.
His brother coaches my favorite NFL team. Like I'm not a hater, but at the same time, like I think that there is a significance to doing things the right way. And when you get caught, playing outside of the rules, there needs to be a punishment, and having the head coach miss 3 games obviously wasn't that big of a deal. But maybe Alabama's the team that kind of ends this. It would be a shame to see them win a national championship this year.
Oh, yeah. No, that's right. That's right. Again, it's nice to see the big historic programs play each other. I can't wait. I hope it's a blowout in our favor. But it's kind of like we talk. Michigan, they're going to have to prove it to me first before I really respect them, and prove it against somebody outside of the Big Ten.
Yeah, well, we'll find out.
You have to wait till week 12 to play Ohio State to play anybody.
Yeah,
I mean,
Terps got him. Terps started to really turn the corner on them in their football game.
Yeah, they did cover, didn't they?
Yeah, they did. But I mean, they made it like it wasn't just a cover. I mean, they got pretty close at the end.
Yeah.
And that was to his brother and, whatever. But so going back to the SEC championship game, though, how many
interceptions did we drop?
4.
I mean, there were so many opportunities where, we could have won that game by 10 or more.
I hope we were just saving them for Michigan and Texas.
And how about
Washington?
Amos came in there and played pretty dang well.
Yeah, I know. At first, I thought Amos was a song by Jerry Reed. And then and then all of a sudden, he comes in for Kool-Aid, and they went right after him. First play,
he was
Brock
making
Bowers.
plays too,
Yeah. To be fair to just to be honest, I thought that this was payback for the last time we played when we didn't have Mechie, we didn't have Jamison Williams, because McConkey and Bowers, they weren't McConkey and Bowers.
McConkey definitely was not.
Bowers too. I mean, like they were just a step slow.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw it. We went from the 3-4 or with three up down lineman to 4 pretty early in the game.
Yeah, you said after the first drive, yeah.
What about that first drive? You talk about just kicking at somebody's ass. Georgia just beat us into the ground. I thought, oh my gosh! I mean, am I really watching it?
Yeah, yeah. I got a text from one of my degenerates. It was like, oof, that looked too easy.
And then after that, it was Alabama. They kicked the field goal, got the touchdown. How about the just kind of looking at the game, like the first touchdown was to Jam Miller. I had a guy who played in the NFL and knows a lot of football tell me that Bama's better with Roydell Williams and Jam Miller. He's just not a fan.
Who is it? Coffee?
Yeah, I don't know, but
because Jam Miller looks just like him when he runs.
He loves those guys. He just thinks that Roydell is a better runner, hits the hole, harder to bring down. Those two are far more direct in seeing and hitting the hole. I think Jace McClellan is a damn good back. I like him. I do too. I'm not. I didn't play in the NFL,
but I'm kind of like one of my favorites, and I'm obviously biased towards Kenyon and Derek, so I leave them out of the conversation. But I love guys like Josh Jacobs. I mean, when that guy when he made a cut and he hit the hole, man, he was coming and hell was coming with him. It was just straight line speed and power. Yeah. And I love guys like that. Yeah. Just hard nosed. I wish, and kind of getting off subject here.
Get off subject.
But I wish Bo Scarborough. I wish we could have all seen Bo Scarborough without an injury.
I did in 10th grade.
Because
it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen.
He played college ball without being hurt. He would have been like Derek, in my opinion. Yeah. I mean, huge, just a physical specimen.
Fast.
And, oh, man, yeah, just could bully people. His arms were just jacked,
He's the best high school football player I've ever seen.
And not a stiff jacked. Like he was running like against Washington in that knee brace, and it was like, God, just imagine what he'd do if he, wasn't strapped down.
Yeah, right. Man, that's crazy. Got the play calling was great. Tommy Reese kicked ass in this game. That pass
he's
to
figured him
Jant.
out.
Oh, the Miller was beautiful.
He's figured him out. And we sit here and we sometimes overthink it, but I mean, there's a lot of adaptation that has to take place for an offensive coordinator in a new system with new players, especially when you don't know who the quarterback is.
Yeah.
And he's really taking advantage of Jalen's mobility. And to have a guy that can run like that and sit back there, I mean, the way he steps up and maneuvers in the pocket is pretty damn good for this to be his first live contact year.
Yeah.
I mean, people forget guys have been in practice for 2-3 years and have had a black jersey on the whole time, and nobody's touched them. And then it's almost like an alternate reality when you wake up and you got people hitting you in the mouth.
Yeah.
So to have that wherewithal to maneuver the pocket and get the ball out downfield, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah. No, I'm with you, man. He's had such a great season, and we'll talk about him. And then we took the lead 10-7. Never look back, man. The end of the first half, go down the field, 4th down, try to get him off sides, don't call timeout. I'm like, we're kicking the field goal. We come back out and go for it.
Yeah.
And Isaiah Bond makes
people can kiss my ass. I mean, that was a catch, and you can,
I know, I'm with you.
You can sit there and you can say, "Oh, the ball might have touched." No, he caught the damn ball, and it might have made contact with the ground, but he had it secured already. I don't want to hear all that.
Well, I know you're
the only one I'll agree with him on is the horse collar. Horse collar, I was like, I don't know about that.
I thought that was egregious. I was throwing the flag from my house. You can't get up there. You can't pull him down from there. You know that. But going back to that catch, and I know that your relationship with Gary Danielson and how much of a fan you are of his. He was on it quick. Just ask him. He was throwing phantom flags all day. I mean, it's like every play he's like, I think Bama had a face mask there. Man,
so, what are you talking about?
Good riddance, man. Good riddance. I just it's not that I just can't stand him. It's not that I think he's a bad guy. It's just, I think we've talked about it on here before. I'm a guy who grew up watching the Cubs and Harry Carey. I liked when Snake Stabler was doing color at Alabama. I listened to Brooks Robinson doing color with Chuck Thompson, who was one of my mentors in play-by-play, and both guys are Hall of Famers. What you like about it is that you sit there and it feels like you're just at a bar somewhere at a table and it's comfortable and fun.
Yeah.
Gary Danielson is the kind of guy who wouldn't have got the invite to my party on Saturday. You got one.
He wants to be the most interesting guy at the party. That's what he wants.
He's just like, it's annoying.
He can't just sit back, drink a beer, and shoot the shit with everybody. He's got to be the guy pointing everything out. And he's got to be.
He's going to one up you too, isn't he?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's got to be the life of the party, but he's got no jokes.
You got to wear a helmet because he's going to name drop so much.
That's right. That's right.
No, I don't know. I don't know him at all, and I'm sure. Look, I get it. It's a tough job, but thank God that's the last time we got to hear him.
Yeah.
I mean, now when it's Rutgers against Iowa, I'm not going to be watching anyway.
The one thing that's sad is I do, he's been the announcer since I was in middle school, I feel like. And so it will kind of be weird. Who's replacing them as
I don't know. Hopefully Herb Street, because right now I'm a big Herb Street fan. I'll tell you that right now.
Isn't it amazing how much garbage he's catching right now?
I love it, man. Hey, look, I may even like tweet at him and just, or I would love to run into him and just say, hey, man, it takes a lot of guts, or as we would say on this show, balls, to go up and basically, say what's true, because the media, for some reason, and the people in the media think that they know every damn thing that's out there.
Yeah.
Just like last year when they were so sure that TCU belonged in over Alabama, and they pushed their asses off to make that happen. I mean, I'd go do shows in this state and get into arguments about it. Well, when it was all said and done, I don't mind saying this. I was fucking right. I just was.
I mean,
sorry. I mean, look, and this year we're going to be right, but Florida State doesn't belong in this.
It's one of those things where they say, well, I mean, the argument for it, it's like, everybody, they say, well, what's the point in playing the games? You play the games so that we can see you are unfit to be in the playoff.
Yeah, right. You guys played and you sucked. You won, you sucked. You were losing to UNA, and it's not like they're even a good team from their conference, like they had like 3 or 4 wins anyway, right?
Yeah.
And then you're playing Louisville, and it was like watching that game. It was painful. That was the worst. Like, I watched college football all day. Friday night, watched college football. I saw Washington. Just like I knew they were going to do with Michael Penix, who's one, I've told you, he's one of my favorite college players, even from Indiana. He's a great player. I watched them with their bad defense basically just come out and be too quick for Oregon. But it was a good game. Both teams were scoring, moving the ball. The defenses stink, but the offenses are really good, talented. So I saw that one. And then I get up and I watch Texas just absolutely thump a team that didn't belong in a championship game, but got there with Mike Gundy and Oklahoma State. And instead of playing down to the level of the competition, they're using trick plays, they're shifting, and I'm going, we used to have that offense, and it's damn good, right? Like Sark's one of those guys like Kirby that I do cheer for when they're not playing offense.
Oh, yeah.
So then I watch that. Then I watch Alabama and Georgia, and it's like that picture up there. It was like Deontay Wilder against Tyson Fury. I mean, you're talking about 2 champs going head to head. Like you could feel the ground shake in that game.
Oh yeah.
Then I watch Florida State and Louisville, and I'm going, what is this? What is this? Like, this sucks. Why am I watching this? Like, Florida State couldn't get a first down. Like they had no offense, and then Louisville lost to Kentucky. I mean, come on, man. This isn't even a good Kentucky team. They're all right, but
yeah. And
is that a fair statement?
No, it is. It is so fair. I just, we're sitting here and we are making jokes. You got to have respect Florida State for what they did.
Yeah.
Because
and I didn't even play there.
No, I mean, you have to respect. I can't imagine. It feels so terrible for those kids, but
I do too.
It's,
it was awful watching that.
I fell asleep before it ended.
This is what happened, man.
I couldn't stay awake.
I did a show today in Pensacola, and they're like, and here's the reaction on warchant.com. And it's like, oh, and I'm like, man, I was on and I was yelling RMFT. I was screaming. So I was like, well, I got to do a better job of pumping my material out. Oh, this is egregious. And what egregious is the 2.5 hours of my life I wasted watching what you guys called a championship game in the ACC. But I do feel bad.
Can you imagine if every championship game was like the SEC championship or the Pac-12 championship was good because the competition was pretty close.
Yeah.
I still don't think the Pac-12 is the best conference out there, but
I think it's so bad that it doesn't exist anymore.
Well, conference championship week kind of. I mean,
it was great while it lasted.
I mean, I looked through the games. I was like, I'm gonna watch 2 of these, and that's the Pac-12 and the SEC. I mean, really watch them. I didn't even watch the Michigan game. I watched some of the Texas game.
I didn't even turn it on. I don't even know what color uniforms they wore.
Yeah,
the fact that Iowa was in a championship game tells me how bad that conference is. And I guess next year they're getting rid of the divisions. Mm-hmm. Thank God. I mean, how would you like to be Penn State and be watching Iowa play in the championship when you're way better than them. I mean,
oh yeah,
you beat them 33-zip, and they're playing for a damn championship.
Yeah.
I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
Is that the worst offense that you've ever seen in a championship game?
Well, I couldn't really tell you because I mean I knew what was going to happen, so I didn't really watch it. And I mean,
the over
26-0.
It was like a half a point.
Their team total was 7.
I know, but it was like a half a point per half because like you had to score something.
Yeah, yeah,
right. And they didn't cover. I mean, think about that.
When you, I don't know. I mean, I never followed lines when I was playing, but it'd be a pretty shitty feeling to wake up and see your team total at like 3.5.
Man, I don't know. And Michigan, I mean, struggled. I guess Iowa has a good defense. That's what I'm being told. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, to make the conference championship with an offense like that, your defense is pretty damn good.
Yeah, or your conference sucks. I mean, like you win games like, when you win like 10-7 and 12-10 and stuff like that. I mean, it's brutal. Somebody told me they won a game and they didn't get the ball past the 50, but like their defense might have gotten some points or something.
They scored a touchdown.
Yeah, I don't know. Honestly,
I think they won a game like 3-2 or something.
Yeah, right. I remember when Auburn and Mississippi State played a 3-2 game.
Oh yes,
those were the good old days. So Bama, they get the touchdown at the end of the half. Burton, man,
what a play!
I know I got to tell you, man, I like the way he plays. I like the catches. But, man, he is getting on my nerves with taunting the student section and all of this stuff. Like, I mean, and I've heard, and I'm not the only one. Like, I'm starting, because we've talked about it before. What is wrong with this guy, man? Could, like, somebody get to this dude and be like, look, man, like, at Alabama, it's as much about being classy as it is being good on the football field. Like, you taunting this other team's student section is trash, man. We don't like that. Like, that ain't what we do here. But keep making those great catches. We like that. If that's what you got to do, we'll deal with it, but we don't like it. Don't come down too hard on it. But I told everybody I would address that. I told you guys I would address that. I put it out there.
It reminds. I took my daughter to church on Sunday. My daughter's like, she's almost 4 years old, and that was one of the things that came to mind. I was like, I feel like I'm bringing Burton to church. Just can't take her anywhere.
Oh man! So he gets a touchdown, and I mean, man. He really has made some great catches this year. So that happens. Go in the halftime, second half, kind of, they get to within, they get a field goal. And then we just go down the field on them again. I thought Roydell Williams had a good game, man.
I did too. I think he's grown a lot this year. And Jam has become one of my he has grown so much. And I know we talked about that earlier, the way he hits holes and just at every position, every single one of these guys, they come in young and it is crazy how much they progressed over the year.
Yeah.
The offensive line to me is the most impressive thing I've ever seen.
Yeah. Yep.
I mean, when this season started, it was like, how can you even build a team around this?
I know.
And all of a sudden, I mean, Jalen's got all the time in the world. It's, he's
just like back there, like
4th and 31. We got this.
He's like this.
That's right.
It's crazy.
But
he's got a lot of confidence in those guys too.
Yeah, well, that's part of the guys got to learn how to communicate and how to block certain fronts and you don't get good at anything unless you played in games together. I mean, you can have the most talent in the world if you hadn't started a game together with that unit. You're going to be rusty. You're not going to know how to communicate. And again, we weathered the storm long enough. Did not lose. We lost one game, but we kept the ship right for long enough, and now we're hitting our stride, and just takes time.
No doubt, man. Well, let me call a timeout in the action here and remind you guys that it's time to check out Lance's Lock and lanceslock.com. I mean, you're watching the NBA and you're going, how can I make the most out of my wagers? Well, lanceslock.com's got you covered. College basketball, you like college hoops? I do. lanceslock.com. You trying to figure out who's going to win these bowl games? Yep. Lance's Lock. And with all of the stuff that's going on, the transfer portal and everything else, you're going to want the best information and handicapping, and that's lanceslock.com. But you got the NFL playoffs that are coming up. You got the the NBA, college basketball, all that stuff. Give lanceslock.com. And besides that, look, you guys know from watching the next round, like he's tied in, man. He knows what's going on. He's a great handicapper. Lance's Lock.
Alabama's playing basketball tonight, aren't they?
They are.
Who are we playing?
Let me check that out. Let me give you the update. And by the way, some breaking news. Tyler Buchner has just said that he's transferring. He's just entered the transfer portal. So probably a good move.
Did you say Booker?
Buchner.
Oh, no.
The quarterback.
Buchner.
Yeah, Buchner. Sorry, Buchner.
I thought you were talking about the offensive
No.
Ryan throws a wrench in things.
No, man, it's just my bad. Yep, he's out.
Yeah, that was a bad move. That was bad. That was a bad move by. And I know we're praising Tommy Reese, and I think he's done a really good job this year. But man, that's probably bad advice for him to give Buchner.
It was.
And you got to know.
It was that security blanket he didn't need.
Yeah, I mean.
Bama, Arkansas State, 7:00, 24.5 favorite. Bama. I take Bama. They're going to roll tonight.
I hope so.
I think they're ready to go.
Have we played since we lost to Clemson?
I don't think so. But all right, so second half, we get that touchdown, a lot of Roydell Williams in that. They come back, they score. Obviously they had the kick return that kind of set them up. Then we get the ball back, and we just go down the field on them again, man.
Like old school.
It felt good, didn't it?
Old school Alabama.
Yeah.
You just manage the clock, keep it as long as you want it. Jalen running the ball.
Yeah.
And running it well. He looked good running the ball in that last drive.
Yeah. And then we get it back. They score. It's a 3-point game. And then, I come out here to get everything set up for my post-game show, and it's like, I'm like, what happened? Game's over. Like, now I saw it, but I was like, man, this dude just ran like 30 yards, 15 yards, 20 yards, 30 yards. Like he just was like at the end of the game, like, I got this. We're going to
Oh yeah. Well, that's
ice this thing.
It's like sometimes you feel like you're watching one guy, and sometimes, a different, more conservative guy.
Yeah, right.
And when he lets it just eat, he's one of the most dynamic players in the country.
Yeah.
If not the most dynamic.
Yeah. No, I'm with you.
And that's not a shot. That's just that's really
he's not perfect.
That's really pointing out his ceiling.
Yeah.
It's so high.
He's still got a lot of room to grow. But at the same time, the guy's done a really good job, and he has Alabama in the college football playoff. And I think that he could potentially be our version of Bo Jackson before it's all said and done, because I think he's that type of an athlete. If he has a couple
years to play at Alabama, it's
how motivated is he going to be to do all the work that took him to get to this point? Because I heard he was a hard worker, and that's the question. Because now he's going to taste and this is where Saban's different than anybody else that I've ever seen, right? It's how you handle success.
Yeah.
And Saban handles success like he doesn't have any.
Yeah.
How does he do that?
You got to love the hell out of football.
Yeah, right.
And I don't know if Coach Saban really has any. I think he kind of likes golf. I think
right.
I think it kind of gets him to relax a little bit, but his obsession is football. He lives for it. I mean,
right.
Outside of his family, obviously, but he lives for football. I remember leaving that practice facility, and there'd be, like one Mercedes in the parking lot when I left.
Did you ever go up there? Did you ever was there ever a time where you were like, I'm just going to pop in and see what's going on in Coach Saban's office?
No, he called my ass up there enough.
What's that experience like? Who comes and gets you? Who was his henchman back in the day?
Coach Cochran used to always text me, like, Coach wants to see you.
Yeah, and he'd see this.
He wants to see you at 2:18.
Right, it would be like some weird time like that, huh?
Yeah.
And then what's it like? He you come in and he's like this, like this. You open the door, like spins around.
It depends. Like summertime, he'd be just sitting at his table eating lunch, and we'd be joking around. But if it was during the season, it was like he's sitting behind all the memorabilia, and he's ready to, look you in the eye and give you the business. So,
what's the business?
I say that we had a lot of honest conversations. I think early on I was a little intimidated to share exactly what I thought, and just trying to fly under the radar and earn the spot without causing any drama or saying anything that may get out of line or whatever. And
you didn't want to rock the boat.
There wasn't much,
Then you rocked the boat, and that opened it up.
We started having more honest conversations.
That's what happens, though, right? Isn't that how real life is? Sometimes it's like the best thing you do is you just tell people what you think, and then they know where you stand.
Well, we got a lot closer as real time Ole Miss games started happening, and I was a lot more honest and transparent about my thoughts and my feelings, and he was always transparent about his. So until then, and I've learned that with Jimbo too. Probably should have taken what I learned from my time with Jimbo and used it with Coach Saban, but I'm just not the kind of guy that's going to vent.
You're young too, man. It's like this, in life. I've been underestimated a lot, and then it's like people realize, like, oh, you know what, like, pretty good at that,
Yeah.
But it doesn't always. It takes people different times sometimes, in life to realize what you can do and why you can do it. And sometimes it's a battle to convince people.
Yeah.
To believe in you, right? Is that a fair statement?
Oh yeah. I think I wasn't going to it's kind of a, I guess, ignorant take or whatever, but I wasn't going to, joking around with Coach was great and all that. I wasn't going to, kiss Coach's ass and try to, I don't know, kind of vent to him and tell him everything I'm thinking. I just wanted to, hey, we're going to have a professional relationship, and I want to be the starter at some point. And then,
right.
Ultimately when it gets to that point, he wanted to hear what I had to say the whole time, and I just didn't do it.
Yeah, right.
But
then you see Tua, and you're like, how the hell did he do this? They just won the guy over pretty easy.
That's right.
Tua's probably besides you, Jake, he's my favorite.
Thanks,
he's my favorite Bama player. I love Tua. It's hard not to love the guy, man.
Oh yeah.
It's just personality wise. I used to live in Hawaii.
Smooth,
I get it. Yeah. Just genuinely easy.
Yeah. Just a
going.
good guy.
Yeah. Right.
You
can't not like him. And then you could tell Saban, he won Saban over too.
One of the funniest things I've ever heard is him, Coach Saban, ask him why he took that sack, and him saying, I needed more room to throw the touchdown.
Yeah, Saban just like, yeah, seriously. That's not funny. Man, it's so crazy, just the way that this season has progressed, man. I never would have thought that at the beginning of the year, when we're doing this show, that there was going to come a point where Bama's getting championship rings, that they had the biggest win of the college football season, and that they're going to go to the Rose Bowl and play Michigan. I could have never imagined that. And there's been so many things that have gone against them, including the media narrative where they constantly pushed to keep Alabama out of that top 4. It almost felt like which with the media these days, no offense, media, but a lot of you guys are so biased. Nobody even buys what you're selling anymore, right? Everybody knows that at least I'm coming on every day telling you I'm an Alabama guy. There's my bias. I'm going to throw it out there.
But even
they try to act like they're not, but they are.
But even if Milroe got hurt, and we look like, and we look like half the team that we were, I'd be the first one to say, yeah, we don't belong. We're not one of the best teams.
I would too, man.
If we came out,
if we played Georgia and their 2 best players were hurt, I'd say it. Oh, I did today.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not taking that. You got to be honest, right?
What if Georgia got the 4th spot instead of us?
They couldn't, because you have to be a conference champion. And that's what killed them, man. Like this is a group of conference champions. Do they belong in? Are they one of the 4 best teams? Do you want to play them again? Hell no. Hell no. Like if Georgia was in this tournament, I'd put my money on them, but they're not. And they get the matchup that they can be the people's champ. Because if they beat Florida State, then they're the people's champ. And they can raise their eyebrow like the Rock used to do. But I don't know, man. Like next year, we don't have to worry about this. And I have changed. Next year is
going to be awesome.
I've changed my opinion on the college football playoff, and I'm all in now.
I have to.
Even though the regular season is going to take a hit.
But typically, when you watch a college football season, there's 2 dominant teams, and then the rest are pretenders, and they're pretty easy to point out.
Right.
I mean, we could go back to the inaugural year. Well, I say that. I mean, Alabama, when we were 2, and let's see, I think Oregon was 1, Florida State was 4, Ohio State was 4.
Yeah,
that came in. Oh, that's another topic that we need to bring up.
Bring it up.
They keep bringing up this Ohio State having their 3rd string quarterback in, or 2nd string.
Oh yeah, right.
And you're
3rd string.
Yeah, and you're talking about Cardell Jones, who was a projected first round pick after that season, and they beat Wisconsin 59-0.
Yeah, I know.
In the Big Ten championship.
Man, I don't know. I don't want to say anything bad about anybody, but I told you this before. That team to me had such a weakness at quarterback that I just didn't think. I knew going in. My friends still talk about that. Like that, you got to have somebody that's really able to stretch the defense, man, because you get into these games and you have to. And that team had an issue with that. To me,
I've said this. Ever since he got hurt. I mean, it was. There's nothing against these Florida State quarterbacks. They're young guys. They never started. I said the same thing about Jalen to begin with. He made mistakes. He wasn't the best version of himself or his potential.
Right.
I mean, it just was what it was.
Right.
You never
know.
What
could he do? He could stretch the defense.
Yeah, but you don't
off the bat. He was throwing bombs.
Yeah, and you don't have time for that right now. You are not the best team right now.
That's right.
And it's just, I don't know. To me, it's black and white.
Yeah.
I hate it for them.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just one of those things. It is what it is. But if you're doing that, I mean, you're basically sending them to get slaughtered.
Yeah.
And that's
we're not doing that.
It's you can sleep better at night, and it's an easy decision to put Florida State in, but it's not the right decision.
Yeah. No, it's not. I'm with you, man. The guy
I can't say it enough. Love Florida State and pulled for him all year. And if Travis was the starter, then they'd be in.
And I think if Travis was the starter, they still don't belong in. But I mean, that's why the committee said that they didn't get in. But if they would have beat Louisville like they should have, if it would have been like 45-10 or something, they'd have gotten in.
Decent quarterback play.
Right.
Like decent quarterback
that's all,
play.
Man. And all these struggle wins that they've had lately, that just doesn't cut it, man. You can't keep the SEC out of this when they win it every damn year, man. And it's not just about Alabama. It's about your marquee matchups are playing against, like what is Florida in the SEC pecking order? Like
Miami and Florida, they played LSU, but LSU lost to Ole Miss, lost to Alabama.
Right. That's our third best win. That's their best win. That's their third best. We just beat a team that hasn't lost in 29 games, back-to-back national championships. And is going to play them. We'll see what happens, man. Like if they go down there and win that game, then I'm all about. They can have a split championship. I mean, they've did it for years. Like if they beat Georgia, I'll say it right now. Let one of these newspapers say, "Hey, I'll proclaim them champions," and I'll say, "Hey, that's fine," because we did it for forever. Yeah. But they're not going to do that. They're going. If do you know how many players are going to opt out of Georgia? Probably not too many. And Georgia's going to freight train them. What I would imagine anyway. And they got a good defense, but I think Georgia. I just think Kirby's a great coach, man. Like he's just class act. Like everything about him is like I look at it and I go,
he's the kind of guy.
I can't not cheer for this guy.
He's the kind of guy you could take a chance and guarantee $100 million to.
Yeah,
I mean,
well,
at Georgia. I'm going to tell
you this right now. If Texas A&M would have given him that money, he would have made it back for him.
Oh man,
and it would have been like, man,
Coach Saban's record-breaking numbers at the time he signed.
Yeah, Saban's the only guy that can stop Georgia right now. That's the scary thing because I don't know how long Coach is going to be coaching.
He's about the only guy that's got. I mean, not the only guy, but he's one of the few that on the field he can tell you basically what needs to be done schematically, and if it doesn't get done, it's usually execution.
Yeah, right.
Almost always execution.
Yeah.
I mean, there's some situational calls that might not be right. There could be a few things done that may be different, but if he makes a call and it doesn't work, it's usually execution.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no,
That's pretty crazy.
I love it when I've seen some of the best. I did women's basketball at Alabama, and the highlight of that, because we were so bad for so long on the court, was being up against Pat Summitt, who was like the best women's basketball coach of all times. And it was like when she would like kind of flex the muscle of the team, like they just did what she wanted her to do. It was like watching that. And, and Coach Saban is exactly that way. Like when he speaks, people listen. And when he spoke after that game, it made a difference. And I think it should make a difference. Like, we should listen to these people. Like there's a reason why Pat Summitt's got a statue outside of Thompson Bowling Arena. And there's the reason why Saban has one outside of Bryant Denny, man. Like to be the best, as competitive as this is, those people deserve the benefit of the doubt. I think Florida State will be a better program for this. I think they'll be fine. I mean, I think they'll end up in the college football playoff and they might win the national championship before it's all said and done with Mike Norvell. And I feel bad for their fans, and I know how tough it was on their players and all of that. I think that the media sold them a false bill of goods. Like they should have been like, look, this is a really tight decision.
I mean, honestly, I think this is what they wanted. All this controversy,
they
all
love
this energy.
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I agree with Joey Galloway about 5% of the time, and he made
that was the 5%.
Yeah, that was it. He bounced up to 5% Sunday morning. To me, it's not a hard decision at all who the best four teams are. Well, that Florida State's not one of the best four teams.
Yeah, right. Because we'll find out, but something tells me that maybe Michigan doesn't belong in this. Like I don't know what's going on where every single year we assume that we just keep being told that the Big Ten's good. We keep getting told this. Well, and go out and win the championship, Michigan. If you guys are that good.
Yeah. I mean, as long as they don't play Georgia in the first, well, I guess whoever they play in the first round, as they make it, they're
playing Bama this time.
Yeah.
And
I mean, that Georgia game 2 years ago, I was like, that was one of the worst beatdowns.
I hope it happens again.
I'd say, me too.
I would love that.
Especially seeing all, you see Dave Portnoy, all his trash talking.
Is he talking some trash? I watch him eat pizza a lot.
Oh, yeah. He's talking.
Is he a Michigan guy?
Yeah.
He is.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't know he was that big of a. Apparently, yeah, he's graduated from Michigan. He's a huge
Really?
Michigan fan. Yeah,
I'm not like a Barstool guy, other than I have a lot of respect for what they did for this business. I think that those guys, Dave Portnoy, saw the value in honesty and being real. And I would like if that guy came in here.
He created a new space.
I love him, man. Like I watch his pizza reviews when they pop up on Facebook.
Yeah.
And I have nothing but respect for him. And I get it. Like, that's your team. I saw you and Ric Flair talking a lot of smack right now. We'll see what happens. I mean, I don't know. I maybe this is their year. But right for so far, like, all I see is every year they're overrated. And then,
I mean, how would you know if it's their year? You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
they're like the boy that cried wolf, though, man. They had the one win in 2014, and to me, that was a Bama team that really just didn't have the ability to stretch the field like you have to. And so you move past that, and that's not a shot at anybody personally. I'm just telling you, like, the next year you came in, and when you started bombing those guys, like, then all of a sudden, like, well, you're going to cover OJ? Well, you're going to cover Calvin? You can do this? You got to hand the ball off to Henry.
Hell, I mean, we had guys go down too, and then, I mean, Calvin was a backup that year.
Yeah.
Just crazy.
Yeah,
and then he turned into freshman All-American, or all the stuff he got.
Yeah, and I think, honestly, man, Isaiah Bond might be that next guy. I'm starting to like him.
He's a beast.
I'm really starting to like him.
I like Nye Black a lot too.
Yeah, I like him too. We've got 3 minutes left on the show, so this is the 3-minute warning. I'm trying to think. I mean, Milroe obviously has been great. The offensive line, the way that they played in this game, man, just unbelievable, man. Pour beer for you guys. You mentioned Amos coming in for Kool-Aid, who got knocked out. I'll leave it at this, man. The way that Alabama took the wide run away when they tried to go to the boundaries.
Oh man, all the penetration,
dude. That is a thing of beauty, because they won 29 games doing that, and no one stopped it.
Oh yeah. Well, they just bullied everybody. They bullied people, and this is this is the first time they've had somebody hit them in the mouth right back.
Yeah.
And
watching those plays, man.
I know.
It's like, they're like, what do we do? Yeah. Carson Beck wasn't too comfortable in the pocket, was he?
No, he wasn't. But they're used to just executing, and then you got people that are a team that comes in that's hungry and as talented as you are.
I'm proud of our fans, dude. We showed up, man.
I heard it was like a home game.
That's what I love it.
It was like 70-30.
That's what I heard too. We got to. This is the thing, the scenario that worries me a little bit in that capacity. And I'm 50-50 on Pasadena, man. I love the Rose Bowl. It's the Wrigley Field of college football. I
hadn't been there since the 2013 FSU national championship.
Really?
Yeah.
I was there in 2009. It was the best football. It was really the best atmosphere ever, man.
Yeah.
Like, love that place. And then Houston for the national championship. And if it's up against Texas, ticket prices might be a little high. I might have to pull some strings to get us in.
Well,
we got to go.
Shouldn't have to.
Let's go.
Houston's pretty rough.
Yeah. But I mean, Texas, if you're playing Texas, they got a lot of that oil money.
Yeah,
they got a lot of that oil money behind them.
Too bad it's not in Jerry's world.
I know. I know you love that place.
If you're gonna play in Texas, play there.
Yeah. All right. Final thoughts, man.
I would bet Bama if Bama was a 7.5 point favorite at Michigan. So I'm feeling really good about that line. Alabama still the king of the hill, still top of the mountain. Have never left. Just a couple freak years, and Coach Saban is and always will be the king. And that's how I feel.
Yeah, I think that's well said. I really just have one thing to say before we end this show. Roll Tide. This is not really what I want to how I want to say.
That Pat McAfee pick on game day was the best pick I've ever seen.
Yeah, well, I like
Did you see that?
Yeah, he's cool. All right, we'll talk to you guys later on in the week. We're still on cloud nine, and I don't know about him. I'm going to be at the Floribama with the boys on Friday, so
I'm going to try.
They got
we'll have Ryan in here Thursday, too.
Yeah, Ryan Anderson will be here Thursday. Those guys have an open tab at the Floribama on LT.
It's probably a dangerous thing.
I know. Thanks for hanging out with us, guys, and we'll talk to you soon. This is Elephant in the Room. Make sure that you like and subscribe. Give us a thumbs up. Part of Disrupt the Media, presented by Lance's Lock and also by MyBookie.